Okay, let's talk all things Texas 70.3, starting with the swim. The swim has a long walk to the start of the swim where you jump feet first off of a dock. So let's talk about that walk. It is important that you have nutrition and hydration with you as you walk to that swim start. You might be standing in a line for a long time, so don't leave all of your nutrition and your fuel, bring your pre-race stuff with you to that swim start so that you have stuff along the way just to top off the system before you get in the water. The second thing that we want to talk about for the swim is that you do jump off of a dock, and for age groupers, they go feet first. We do not want to see our athletes jumping deep into the water and then having a long time to rise to the surface and starting from nearly a dead stop. We actually practice with our athletes at swim camps to do a shallow jump into the water where you basically have frog feet and you spread your arms wide so that you keep yourself buoyant on the top of the water and can swim right out of that. The last thing to say about the swim is that because you jump into the water and have to swim from that position, it can be a little bit startling for some athletes. So know that it is natural to feel the first 200 yards might feel a little bit overwhelming mentally. Stay within yourself, work through that. Know that that is a natural feeling and that you're a strong, capable swimmer. And before you know it, you'll be at that first turn headed back towards the boat that you can sight in all the way down to the exit of the swim. The bike is pretty much a straight shot in Galveston 70.3. Once you wind out of transition, you hit an out and back. That is the majority of the bike ride. I think the thing that most people discuss is the wind, and we will discuss that, and that is important. But let's start with the aid stations at Texas 70.3 because it's an out and back. It's a pretty large race typically, and because it's very flat, there can be a lot of congestion, especially at the aid stations. So we would recommend that when you hit an aid station, you use your voice if you're not stopping at the aid station for fuel, just to make people aware that you're going around them. If you do need to stop at an aid station, likewise, use your voice, call out that you're stopping at the aid station or moving through the aid station, we should say. You might have a lot of beginners do this race. You might have people actually physically stop at an aid station. So avoid those collisions, go around, use your voice, and advocate for yourself. Most of the times you have a tailwind on the way out and a headwind on the way in. But we also want to talk about the crosswind that happens. Part of the course is protected by buildings along the way, but you do get out far enough past those buildings that there can be some crosswinds. And sometimes I've ridden that course where I thought I had a headwind on the way out until I turned and I actually had a headwind on the way back in. So just be aware that you might have wind to some extent the entire day. Relax your shoulder, relax your face, relax your jaw, and don't fight that wind. The final thing is it can be a little bit lonely when you go over the bridge. It's the most exposed part of the course. It's a short time, but you're waiting to get to that turnaround. Stay present, get to that turnaround, and come back in. And before the run course is a 3-loop course. It has a lot of turns and it does have a lot of spectators, but the spectators tend to cluster closer to the places that are easy to access, bathrooms and food. So there are segments of the course where you might feel pretty alone in comparison to how many spectators you've just had. It's really pretty spectator friendly the whole time, but there are some segments of the course where you cross a little bridge or you're behind buildings or you do a series of little turns. They're fitting in the distance in a pretty tight area. So those places can feel like mental lows. Remind yourself when you get there to stay positive and you'll be in the crowds before you know it. Another thing that we see sometimes with athletes is because it is so crowded at the start, athletes can tend to go out very fast and then they have gone too hard through the start. Dole out your energy accordingly to your race plan and make sure that you don't hit it too hard to start on that first part of the course where it's lined with people who are cheering you on. Humidity is always an issue in Texas and it will creep up as the day goes on. So having a proper fueling plan and a hydration plan to deal with the humidity starts long before the run and is really important when you're racing Texas. So Texas has one transition. It's open in a parking lot. It is easy to navigate, but it is larger, and you do need to spend some time the day before knowing the flow of their transition, because you do often have to run or bike almost all the way around the transition, so it is fair for every athlete. So know the flow of the transition, know where bike mount is, and don't make the mistake of going right through the arch and mounting your bike. It can get crowded depending upon the speed of your swim, because a lot of athletes will come out at the same time. So make sure when you exit transition, if you're slower to mount or you want more space to mount, to pull to the side and mount your bike. Don't rush transition. Be deliberate, but don't do it in a way that causes you to be frantic and make mistakes. Our pro tip for Texas is all about parking. So parking is not an issue at Texas. There's tons of parking for Galveston. However, it does require a little bit of a walk. So make sure that you have proper shoes when you park your car to walk to transition. Like doing it in some cheap flip-flops might not be the best for you on race morning. Just know that there are lots of parking places, but you do need to walk to transition with your gear and all of your stuff. So have a plan for that, and you won't have anything to worry about finding a parking place early in the morning.